Hello and welcome to Fireside Chat number 2. I want to say a couple words about the rest of the course, in particular the midterm. I'll be honest with you that for me the midterm was an exercise in which I hoped you would think about some sort of topic or issue and try to do some evaluation of that topic by way of some of our readings. I was pleased with what I saw you all do. In some senses, I don't have a specific way or formula or rubric by which to grade these, to score those exams, and which is fine because to this point, all of you have gotten all or nearly all full credit for everything you've done. In a graduate course, most of the course rises and falls on the paper. So I appreciate you doing the work of the posting and the midterm. If you didn't do those, it would damage your grade. But having done them, you all do a good job, and I'm pleased for the work of your exercising those skills and those intellectual muscles, so to speak. So please continue that as we especially now move to the last few books, a couple at least, but the last few are a little bit more theoretical. And I want to say about the Homer-Dixon book on environment, scarcity, and violence. It's not a foreign policy book per se, but I do think it's interestingly theoretical, and it has implications one can think through for foreign policy. So questions of environmental scarcity and the state response to that, and the consequence for people who live in a state and what they do in response to the environmental situation are all interesting issues that are specific to foreign policy things we have going on. Look at this past week with immigration in the United States, but also have interesting implications for other issues, like things like water issues in the Middle East, and for instance, Israel's accusations of Israel stealing water from its neighbors. Talk about the theft of oil, or petroleum, by angled pumping. Iraq was accused, Kuwait was accused, they're counter-accusing each other of this kind of behavior for years. The fact of scarcity of non-renewable resource wealth, oil, being a bad way to develop your economy, not ultimately efficient way to produce wealth, because you get over-reliant on that. And interesting, you see that happening. That the Middle Eastern oil regimes are not diversified economies and do not do well. Saudi Arabia is actually in a lot of trouble economically. You may know. So there's lots of specific and general foreign policy implications from a book like that. The choice, obviously, is a book specifically on free trade and renders the free trade argument. I do encourage you to think about and offer up your anti-free trade arguments, but I do want the free trade reasoning to be gotten through pretty thoroughly. And of course, that has enormous implications for foreign policy. And I don't want you to think that those are the only two issue areas that matter, but the thinking that goes into some of those, the theoretical thinking that goes into those books is worth having available in your own analytical toolkit. So enjoy those for what they are, even the value of being able to argue against them. So I hope you understand. I'm not emotionally committed to anything that we've read. I hope some of it's been interesting. I hope most or all of it's been intellectually engaging in some degree. So the rest of the course I see is a continuing of those posts, and you're all doing a good job with that. And the final exam, which will be something similar in length and scope as what I already gave you. I'm imagining something like choose either the ugly American or the ugly American, if you understand the difference between the two, the one that we like and the one that we don't like, and write an op-ed from that person's perspective on some topic. Obviously, that's my working model right now. I'll sharpen that up, but I want to let you know I'm kind of thinking about, imagine yourself as either Homer-Dixon or Ambassador Sears writing an op-ed in the New York Times on some important issue of our day. I'll get back to you on that though. And then really, the rest of the course is the paper. So I hope that's going well. And again, I want to say, and I'll send some material, I'll post some material getting more specific. But I again want to say, you're posing a question and you're answering that question in the paper. Now, you've posed the question to yourself and you've done some reading and you've thought through the answer. And obviously, the posing of the question at the beginning of the paper isn't happening in real time. You pose the question, you've answered. You write the paper in that fashion. Here's a question about foreign policy. Here's what I think the theoretical answer, here's the theoretical material I think that answers that question, and here's how that theoretical material answers that question. And elaborate the case with the necessary detail. And then conclude the paper. So, again, you know, I'm looking for, it's an exercise. I'm not looking for stunning new insight into foreign policy. I'm not looking for the new model of foreign policy. It's an exercise in theoretical thinking. I see a problem before me, and there are many conceptual answers I could come up with, and I'm gonna lay the most powerful or most compelling one out for you in the paper, and so on. It's not. I don't want it to be stylish writing. I want it to be clear, which is the introductory paragraph says, "Here's my question, and here's the short answer of that. I'm going to talk about that in these 3 ways." You know, 6 or 7 sentences, which also serves then as an outline for the paper, because here's the conceptual answer is there's a short literature review of what you think is relevant for explaining the theory, the idea that answers the question. And then you said, I'm going to show you in these 3 ways. That's the next 3 sections of empirics, of actual case study material or actual detail. I'll send some more stuff or post some more stuff, maybe show you, put an article of mine on there for you to look at as an example. You know, in theory, every academic article should be written this way, that you could read the first couple paragraphs of the article and know what the question was that they were addressing, and know their short answer. And once you're deep into that particular strain of the field, that particular area of thinking in the field, you probably wouldn't even need to read the case studies, because you say, well, okay, I know what this argument's about. Here's what I see happening. It's an interesting argument that they've made. I'll go read the conclusion and see how they got it, if I agree with how they got there. So it's structured in a very particular way, and I want you to think about that structure and give that to me for your paper. I may post another little activity online on the website. Some of you looked at that security perceptions piece of work I put up. I may post something else for you to look at for fun, not a requirement, but really what matters now is finishing up those discussion posts, short, final exam, and then the paper. So I hope everything's going well. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. It's probably easier than even the posting on the question board. But email me. There's a couple of you who've done that. I will email you back pretty quickly. So enjoy the rest of the course. I hope it's going well. If it's not going well, let me know, and I'll do what I can to make sure you succeed. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the fire while I turn off the video.